some of the statement facts. The essence of it is still the same, but would you concur with the modifications?
Not exactly, no.
In what areas would you disagree?
Well, I disagree with the fact that Sharon Tate was hung while I was president.
He didn't say that. He said
while she was still alive.
She was hung while she was still alive.
I don't remember that part of her hanging. I don't remember that. Other parts that he changed are permissible, even though the motive of the second crime, I think, was twofold, in that it was for both those reasons that he, the one that the record showed, and then also for the one that he brought up. It was twofold in that area. Other precise details that he changed, I haven't scrutinized it that closely for the difference to really occur in my mind. So I have no objection to the changes that was made.
The area with regards to Sharon Tate being hung, familiarizing myself with prior transcripts, you indicated before that you were the male there, you took the lead. Do you deny hanging her at that time?
Yes, I do. I haven't denied too much at all because I'm guilty. I haven't denied too much of the crime that has been brought against me. I've confessed to all of it, but there are some areas such as that I cannot confess to because it would be a lie. I don't remember her being hung, and I have often thought about this, and I don't know how that happened, but I have really no comment on that. I just don't remember that fact, that particular fact there. As far as me taking the lead role, I was the male at the crime. But at that time I did not consider myself a leader. I considered myself more of a follower of Charles Manson in carrying out his orders. Even though I have leadership qualities at this time, at that particular time, when I was 23 years old, I don't feel I had the leadership qualities to carry that out. So there's some questions to what leadership capacity that I had at that time.
Sure. While you were a follower of Mr. Manson, you were the leader of the party that went to the
yes, that's correct there.
Residence.
Yes.
And of the persons who were stabbed, do you recall who stabbed who?
Yes, I recall basically who stabbed who.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I could. As the records show, I did shoot Steve Parent when I went into the estate. I did stab Jay Sebring after he was shot by myself. Did you want me to say other participants in the crime who they stabbed also? Did you want me to say that?
Yes.
Well, I think I will just say who I stabbed and then let them say who they stabbed, if that's all right with you.
Well, you don't have to answer any questions. It's just a matter of, in a way, of cooperation, because as different panel members see different individuals, they all may attribute it to someone else.
Right.
And so it's a matter of internal cooperation, so to speak. You don't have to answer the question.
Yeah. I would just say that I had a part of stabbing each of the victims that was at the estate. As far as other members of the Manson family stabbing victims, I will leave that up to them to deal with themselves. I don't choose to say who stabbed who.
All right. I have no problem with that.
Okay, thank
And I accept your right to make those statements.
Thank you.
I have no.
Well, that brings a question to my mind. At the estate, we're talking about the Tate, talking about the first set of killings?
Well, the first and the second.
Because both of those places were large houses that could be called estates.
Yes.
And at each location, both locations, you had a part in stabbing all of the victims?
I participated in it, yes.
And some of the victims were additionally stabbed by other people?
Yes.
That's all I have then. Mr. Lopez, anything in this area?
Been covered.
Mr. Kay, anything in this area?
Yes, just to address a couple of things that Mr. Watson was saying in the question panels. One, the leadership role. Watson clearly was the leader on these 2 nights of murder. Manson was the overall leader and had set up these murders, so to speak. But in driving to the Tate house, Watson gave the orders. He told Kasabian to wrap the knives and the gun in a shirt, and if they got stopped by the police, that she was to get rid of the knives and the guns. He also informed Kasabian, Adkins, and Krenwinkel that they were to do what he told them to do at the Tate house, that he had been there before, and that he knew the layout of the Tate house. When they got to the Tate house, they parked right out in front of the gate. There was an electronically operated gate. He had some bolt cutters that were very heavy, about 25 pounds, and he climbed a telephone pole and cut the phone wires leading into the estate, and then he directed that the car be parked down the hill. They went down the hill and out of sight, and then he directed the 3 female members over the fence. When parent
Mr. Watson, a few moments ago, admitted that as to this group who went out, he was the leader. But the point he was trying to make was that he feels that he was in a position of a follower, taking direct orders from Mr. Manson. That was his point.
I'd like to say something on that too. There's no question I was the leader of the killings on the scene of the crime. There's no question. The point that I'm trying to make that even though I was the leader at the time, I was also very much a follower. So there's really no question I was the leader on the scene of the crime.
All right. Sounds like a classical military type command structure. Anybody else have any other comments in this area?
Well, at the time in 1969, it was a very revolutionary type atmosphere. I was very rebellious to society, and that I was seeking something that apparently I had not found, for satisfaction, for happiness, for contentment. And I had not found it anywhere. So in my search, I began to take drugs and hallucinogenics, heavy on the alcohol, and more or less dropped out of society into the love generation, although it turned out to be very much hate, seeking for acceptance and the answer in life. And I thought I'd found it through LSD and Manson, the family, the love that I felt that was there through the hallucinogenic drugs. And by taking the drugs for 1.5 years to 2 years, I lost all sense of care and direction in life. I'd completely forgotten about my background, my past, my upbringing. My parents no longer existed in my thinking. I became very susceptible to the family and the teachings of Mr. Manson, and gave myself completely to him, to what the family was doing, and got on the same wavelength as the entire family through LSD, and just becoming susceptible to his teaching to a point to where I would do anything without care for myself, my own personal safety, my own life. I had very little feelings for anybody, and I did actually become like an animal. I didn't care. I had no fear. So I think through drugs and through my own seeking and my desire to find an answer in life, I found the wrong thing and went down the wrong trail. And through that, I became what I became, and committed these crimes without care for anyone, including myself. And I can remember after the crimes, I didn't think there was going to be any after the crimes. I can remember thinking that the end of the world was going to be the next day after the crimes. And to think that there would be a time 14 years later when I was sitting in front of someone like this talking about that, I didn't think that that would ever be. I had no concept of the future, of what it held, or that there would even be a future. I thought there was going to be a black and white race war. I felt that we were going to go out into the desert to hide and bring a new world into existence. And I think I became controlled by a very sick concept and a very sick person that took me off into the thinking that utopia was coming, and that I'd never have to answer for anything that I did. So, getting into that state of mind, I can see how I was able to be driven to that state of mind. And then also one more area, I think that I did it out of wanting to be part of the family, and out of wanting to be accepted and seeking approval from the family. So I think all those things combined took all my self-concern and care and fear away from me, and as I allowed that to happen to my person, and I became the animal that did these crimes.
In reflecting over the years, is there anything that, or any things that you could offer to the greater group of us as to how to prevent that kind of thing from occurring with other people?
Well, I think there are many preventative measures that can be taken. I think that my life to people as an example that drugs of this nature, hallucinogenic type psychedelic drugs that many children are involved in now, can only lead down to one path, and that's a path of death and dissolution. To answer your question, I think that there are answers in life that are very real and very true without having to become acquainted with so many things that only offer death and death as a result of being involved in those things. And I got involved in some very occult type actions, and because of this, the results of that, of course, was death. And as far as preventative measures and answers, I have several of those, but
All right, we're going to stop here and change tapes.
let me see that my parents were right in all the things that they were saying. And me being rebellious and wanting to go out and do my own thing was not the right thing to do. And as a result of that, I got involved in many things that led me down the path that led to these murders.
To that, I would say that that is not an uncommon phase of life to go through, to not
foodstuffs and
Felt that I could steer myself towards that direction and take that yoke fellow group therapy instead of Dr. Barkley's therapy that he offered. So that was my basic reason.
Okay. You were also involved with Dr. Allison for a period.
My lack of participation with them, not necessarily on their behalf, but my unavailability to participate with them. Not that I've rebelled against anything they're doing, it's just that I got away from them since 1976, and I got good psych reports up till 1980, but it got to the point to where they felt that I had no need for them anymore, and which wasn't necessarily true at all. But since that time, upon receiving some bad psych reports, I've availed myself to them again and trying to let them observe me. Of course, there's not been a lot of observation, only the 9 sessions with Dr. Allison.
When did your sessions with Dr. Barkley begin?
They began, matter of fact, last week. I had one last Wednesday and I have one this Wednesday. And they will continue, he says, until he feels that things have kind of, well, he kind of put it like this. He said they will continue as long as we see that help is coming from these things.
All right. In terms of your work, before going to your work, you're in the area of self-help. As you mentioned, you've been a director of Yoke Fellows, and you've been very active there, and that's Christian fellowship.
Well, it's Christian group therapy. It's more than fellowship or Bible study. It's a psychological group therapy led by Reverend Stanley McGuire. And then he also has a visiting clergyman that's has a degree in psychology that helps him with the group therapy.
Okay. And going to the area of work, you had 2 assignments that I'm aware of. One having to do with the worship clerk and being a student chaplain, and your evaluations were by Reverend McGuire. You also had an assignment as in the psychiatric intervention unit as a clerk, and you held that position for 2.5 years. Unfortunately,